Hello students, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. In this video, we are going to discuss about another decision that has been taken by the President Donald Trump in his first 48 hours of presidency is a heavy clampdown that we are seeing on the immigration, more precisely illegal immigration. And in this context, he has decided to ban and overall end the activities on the CBP One app. It has been effectively closed. So let us try to understand what was the CBP One app and how it is related to overall immigration in the United States. So the president, after taking oath of the office, has cut off access to a mobile app that allowed migrants to apply to legally enter the US as an asylum seeker. And in this context, the CBP One entry program, this was the program that was launched by the Joe Biden after the COVID-19 pandemic. It had till now allowed thousands of foreign migrants to schedule appointments at the entry point situated across the US-Mexico border. And since January 2023, app is believed to have enabled entry for nearly 1 million people. So basically, as we know that overall stance of Trump has always been anti-immigration, and that is why the decision has been taken to close the app. Now, if you look at the app itself, if you try to understand what this app was all about, so through this app, a kind of lottery system was devised that awarded almost 1,450 people daily to take appointment at the 8 different border crossings situated across the border of southern border of US along the Mexico. And using this app, once they take the appointments, then migrants can plan to have interview with the immigrant authorities along the border. And through this interview, they can try to convince the authorities to seek immigration parole before reaching the US border. Now, when you talk about the term immigration parole, it basically refers to a situation where even when the legal status of the individual or asylum seeker has not been confirmed, he can be given or she can be given a temporary entry in the United States for a certain period of time. So, until 2023, asylum seekers did not have an option of such kind of app, and for that, for their cases to be heard in the or against the immigration authorities, they were forced to wait in large camps for an exemption to Title 42. Title 42 was brought in during the COVID-19 pandemic that overall categorically rejected any kind of entry into the United States for the asylum seeker. So basically, we can say since 2023, CBP1 has served as the only route or the sole route for the asylum seekers amidst a larger crackdown that the Biden administration also has unleashed against the illegal border crossing, specifically from the Mexico side. Now, if you look at the CBP One app, the app was launched originally not for the purpose of granting parole to the asylum seeker. Largely, it was launched by the US Customs to control commercial trucking companies that is trying to schedule cargo inspection so they can be allowed entry or exit from the United States. Now, this was repurposed and relaunched to become the sole route for asylum seeker, and this app has largely benefited people from the Mexico, Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua and Venezuela. All of these are the Latin American countries as well as the Caribbean countries. And migrants who wanted to have an appointment through this app are often complained, however, of technical glitches and long waits. That means the app also was not something that was continuously moving, functioning smoothly. And for initial screening to determine if they're qualified to apply. But despite that, it has helped millions of people to enter US for temporary period. Now, when we talk about the term immigration parole, because that was the entire objective for the repurposing of this app, let us try to understand this in more detail. Now, under the concept of immigration parole, the US law allowed the asylum seekers to seek immigration parole without securing formal admission in the United States. When you talk about the term formal admission, it means that you have a valid permit, you have a valid visa, you have a valid electronic travel authorization and all. So without such kind of valid formal permission, the asylum seekers still can be granted entry into the United States. And thus it enables an individual who may be inadmissible or otherwise ineligible for admission into the US to be paroled into the country for a temporary period unless and until their grounds or their points were heard by the court, and after that decision can be taken whether they should be retained within the US or should be deported back to their origin country. Now, this can be because of two reasons. When we talk about asylum seekers, asylum can be granted and on the ground of two reasons. First was if there is a urgent humanitarian reasons. For example, if there is a risk to the life of the individual or their family, either due to their ethnicity or due to their political view or due to the prevailing situation like civil war like situation or conflict in their home country. Or apart from this also, if there is a significant public benefit because of allowing the person to come, enter and live in the US. So that is why the entire cases were heard on case to case basis in this particular case. Now, this cannot be used solely to avoid normal visa processing procedure and timelines that are associated with the formal admission. That means through this CBP1 route, only those people who really wanted to have asylum in US because of these factors could be allowed entry. If you're not able to secure a valid visa to US, it does not mean that you can use the CBP1 route. That was not the purpose or objective of this particular act. Now, Donald Trump has obviously raised a question about it even before when he came into power during the presidency of Biden, where he is alleged that President Biden has, due to his policies, caused an influx of undocumented migrants into the United States border. And thus he said that when he come into power, when he take off this office of president, he would launch a massive deportation program throughout his presidential campaign. And the ban on this app or closing of this app is just one step in that particular direction. So in the inaugural address also, he has talked about, basically he has tried to be true to his words that he has spoken before or talked about before by promising to begin the complete restoration of America and the revolution of common sense. And he has clearly stated that all the illegal entry will immediately be halted, and that is why he also has talked about bringing a national emergency to fortify and close the southern border of United States in the Mexico side, and will begin the process of returning millions and millions of criminal aliens because they associate that all the migrants who have entered America illegally are nothing but a criminal, back to the places from which they have come. Obviously, he is appealing to his main voting base or the people who have brought him in power. Now, many persons and the experts argue that this decision of closing the app will not necessarily benefit his policy, rather it can even turn and prove to be counterproductive in nature. Why? Because the app has two advantages. First, it has long been touted as having driven down migrant crossing, because many people, they had the facility to use the app, get the appointment and then try to talk with the immigration authorities. Now, once this app is closed, they will try to illegally cross the border anyway, because their desire and will to move into United States are very, very strong or is very strong. Similarly, the app also has provided asylum seeker with an orderly way to apply to the US. Now, once this app has closed, both these advantages are gone, and many of the we can say officers of US DHS, that is Department of Homeland Security, Border Patrol, they believe that it will cause or trigger an influx of the illegal immigrants across the southern border, will try to take advantage of absence of the border guards. So in essence, what we can say in conclusion, that just after coming into power, Donald Trump has issued a series or a flurry of sweeping presidential consecutive order, and this is nothing but just one extension of that. For example, apart from this, he has talked about curtailing immigration by bringing national emergency, as we have discussed. He also has talked that he will launch a process to end the birthright citizenship, that we also have talked about. And he also, however, the ACLU, that is the American Civil Liberty Union, it is a non-profit, non-governmental organization. It has obviously challenged this executive order related to this particular app in the Columbia District Court. So what is the verdict and decision on this order? We'll have to wait and watch. So that's all about this particular video. Thank you very much.